Hello and welcome to Ari's World. So hats off to anybody that actually does record every day. I don't know how you do it. Found that it was quite stressful when life doesn't always give you time to do these sorts of things, and it's either lack of motivation or the technology gods just don't want to shine their light down on you. Don't know how many times I had issues with my camera and my computer and everything, and it was just... And on top of that, I don't really think that watching me write every single day is going to be the most interesting content. So let's change it up a bit. I basically thought that instead of doing like a day-by-day thing, I'd just give a week summary. It's the same thing anyway. The things that went well, the things that didn't go well, and give 5 things that I have learnt that hopefully I'll be able to implement for the future. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. So here are 5 things that I have learned. These are things that I have picked up over the past week. Some of them are probably glaringly obvious, some of them are logical, and others are a little bit more obscure and maybe very personal to me. But hopefully these will give you guys some ideas if you ever find yourself in the same situation, or maybe it's just point of reference for myself in the future when I'm like, why isn't this working? Number 1, daily goals are a must. I personally find the thought of writing 25,000 words really daunting. So luckily Dabble, which is the program that I use, tells me what I need to be doing in a day. It allows me to take like days off as well. So if I turn around and say, actually, I don't want to do it on a Saturday, it recalculates it and it'll tell me, these are the words that you need to do today. And personally, that works really well for me. But these measurable goals and these like tiny chunks don't have to be words. It could be a paragraph, it could be a scene, it could be an interaction, it could be a piece of dialogue. And I think that that's something that has really helped me work out exactly how to approach this. It's like day 1, I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And yes, I managed to get that scene down. I did over 1,000 words because I knew exactly what I wanted to look at. But it's not always going to be that easy. And the most important thing is to make sure that you are setting yourself that measurable task that you can be like, okay, I want to go in here, I want to write this piece of dialogue, I want to go in here, I want to write this scene description, or I'm going to get rid of all the placeholders I have on the first 10 pages. So many. I'm going to look up synonyms today. Whatever it is, set yourself a task and tick it off. And I think that that makes things so much more manageable. And it also is quite motivating because you complete it. Whereas if you sit in front of a blank piece of paper and go, write a book, that's a little bit more difficult. Number 2, find your inspiration. So the first point was about having a specific goal in mind. When you sit down to write that day, what are you going to achieve? Well, there were a couple of days where I sat down and I was like, I kind of know what I want, but I don't know how to go about it. And I was wasting time just staring at the ceiling or actually looking at this beautiful blank wall. Should probably get a poster or something. Motivational quote maybe? And I realised, I think it was on day 2, that I needed to listen to music. I mean, what better way to get into the right headspace than putting on some emotive music? But also, I need to have things that I can reference or things that can inspire. And I used a couple of days writing prompts, of which none of them actually made sense with the story. I think one of them was something like, what would you do if your main character was in a cave? I don't know, why would she be in a cave, ever? But it got me thinking, like, what would she do in a cave? Would she freak out? Is she afraid of the dark? Is she claustrophobic? Then I started thinking of the smell of the sea water, because my cave is by the sea, guys. And it basically got me really thinking of, like, what would she do in that situation? And it actually inspired a scene which has nothing to do with caves, but has everything to do with being afraid of the dark. The point is that there will be times where you really want to write, but you're kind of stuck. And there's probably a million ways to go about finding ways to get unstuck. Mine at the moment, music, writing prompts. I'm pretty sure that I'll find some other ones along the way, and I'll probably make a video just for that point. Number 3, do not stress. So this is probably the most obvious one, and it's probably one that I struggle the most with, and I will struggle the most with this, but it's not stressing. I want to complete my goal. I have my measurable, smaller, manageable, achievable goals, and I sit down and I'm motivated and I know what to write, and I write 100 words. And I get myself so wound up about it because I'm finally motivated to write this book. And I will sit down, and as much as I know exactly what the scene is like in my head, like I've mapped it, I can see the places, I can see the characters, I can hear them interacting, I can hear the rainfall, I can smell the rosemary from the garden, and I'm sat there in my actual chair in the real world going, where are the words? I put quite a lot of pressure on myself. And sometimes life gets in the way. I'm not going to be able to find an hour or two every day to write. It's just impossible. There are days that I'm exhausted. There are days that my family are here, and there are days that I just don't want to. And I think that personally, even though it's only a week in, I need to calm down. There are days that I've done over 2,000 words. That's like 2.5 days worth of writing, and it's because I was in the flow. And then there were 2 days which I did 300 words. Ebbs, flows, calm down. And I think that is probably the most important point for me going forward, is take the motivation when it comes, and when it doesn't, go have a cup of tea, watch something on Netflix, listen to some music, read a book. Inspiration will appear when it wants to. However, number 4, it's all about good habits. So yes, don't stress. Yes, don't force yourself to write until your fingers bleed. Don't make yourself ill, lose sleep, not eat, not go out, not have a life, not do all of these things. Don't do that, but write. I'm definitely a person that struggles with a routine. I am really good at building up good habits, and then one day that I don't do it, it all falls into the ravine. And I know that about myself, and I think that's why I put so much pressure on myself to sit down and write and do, because I'm kind of fear that if I don't do it, I just won't complete my goal. But I've also come to realize that this is a change that I'd like to do, and this is something that I would like to dedicate my life to if I ever could. And I can't do that by forcing myself. If you're being forced to do something, probably not something you really want to do. So I understand that there's going to be sacrifices. There will be days where I want to go out, but I've got this scene that I need to write, and maybe I can't go out and spend my entire day out in the sunshine. Maybe just go for a little while and write in the evening. The point is to try and build good habits. So what I'm trying to do is, when everyone's asleep and I have a little bit of free time in the evening, I'll come to my office, I'll sit in front of the computer, and I try to do something that is going to further my goal. So for the past 7 days, it's been great. Most of the time has been writing, which is why I have over 8,000 words. But there have been a couple of days where I've actually just sat and Googled stuff. And sometimes it's images. So I've tried to build a folder of images that kind of inspire me, or ones that are like, oh, if I cast my character, they would look like this. Things that kind of keep my head in the story. And I think that that is a really important thing for me to do, is to train my brain to be thinking about this world. The more I think about the world, the more that I learn about it. And the more I learn about it, the easier it is for me to put it down on paper, virtually speaking. And even if I don't always meet my daily goals, as long as I'm building up the habit to try and achieve my goal, it makes things easier as we go along. I mean, writing's like any other skill. You have to practice it to get good at it. That's just the way it goes. And number 5, remove the editing hat. So I don't know when I started to do this. And I think it's actually since I started to learn more about the writing process, the more afraid I got of writing. And by that I mean I'm worrying about, is this dialogue tag right? Is this paragraph exactly what it should be? Am I telling? Is this a crutch word that I'm using? Do I use this every other sentence? Is my dialogue realistic? Oh. So I think having listened to a lot of seasoned authors. I honestly think it's brilliant. It's definitely given me a much better way and a better understanding about the writing process. What's good, what's bad, what I should be doing, the typical pitfalls that people fall into. But it's also got me a bit scared. And now I am writing thinking that this is going to be my final product. Like, this sentence, I could cut 5 words from it. There's a better way of writing that. That's an adverb. Adverbs are bad. What's the stronger verb? Said is not dead. And I need to just write. I need to realize, I need to come to terms with the fact that this is not my final draft. This is not going to a publisher. Nobody's going to read this. It is literally just idea to virtual paper, because I can always go over it later and you can always make a finished product better. But what is the point of having a perfect first chapter if you don't have the rest of the book? And as I said, these are all really obvious things, but it's like I didn't realize it until now. It's been a good week. It has been a really good week. I have managed to write a lot more than I had expected. So I think the 2 blank sprints that I did on day 1 and day 5 worked super well. And that's literally using a blank piece of paper. Go. I thought that worked really well. I've been updating the NaNoWriMo page and I've got loads of badges already. If you'd like to see my daily updates on the badges that I get and the workout that I do, please follow me on Instagram. And you can also be a buddy of mine on NaNoWriMo if you are a fellow writer. I'm really looking forward to week 2. I think that it's just going to be another success in my not so humble opinion. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to join me on this journey, please hit the subscribe button. You know you want to. And yeah, wish me luck.